If I told you that everything you've learned about confidence isn't true, would you believe me? It's not true that confidence is a magical trait that will do anything. Not many lucky people are good at it, and most of us are doing it wrong. But here's the catch. It's not possible to get there until you do these things, and some of them will definitely bother you. Let's be honest. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Other ones, but this one will really hurt because I know you did it. We're all aware that comparing yourself to others is the silliest game in the world. I know that no one ever wins, because if you look through Instagram, there's Karen with her beach body, or Dave with his six-figure business, and you start to think, wow, I'm not doing anything with my life. Does that sound like you? I've been there. I used to look at social media and see everyone else having the best time of their lives while I was having the worst. I felt like a complete failure as I ate cold pizza in my clothes, but they don't tell you that it's all fake, and Karen doesn't show you the part where she's crying because she's stressed out, and Dave doesn't post about how he can't sleep at night, worried if you compare what goes on behind the scenes to someone else's feature reel, your business will fail. It's not even the same game if you compare your Monday morning to their Saturday night. To be honest, it's a trap to compare yourself to other people. It will kill your confidence faster than anything else you're running. They're not their lanes, and if you keep looking at other people's, you'll trip over your own. Everyone's journey is different. You don't know what they've been through, and they don't know what you've been through. The person you should be comparing yourself to is the one you were yesterday. Are you better than you were last week? The most important thing is the month. To be honest, I lost years of my whole life trying to catch up to friends who I thought were ahead of me and had the best job and life, and even strangers who seemed to have it all together. But it wasn't until I stopped trying to figure out what they meant by I started to really believe in myself, when I started to focus on my own road and achieve success. Because you'll never be them. You're you, and that's your strength. Just you, and no one else can take this trip. Check out everything else. Always keep this in mind. Most people are too busy to think about you as much as you think they are. Don't waste time trying to measure up to some made-up standard. They're too busy thinking about their own stuff to notice. There is no such thing as a measure. The deep truth is that when you stop comparing yourself to other people, you start to find peace in who you are. You don't have to be the best. You just have to be your best self. Trust me, you don't have to be Karen or Dave. You just have to be yourself. That life gets a lot better, so the next time you compare, stop. If you want to feel better, tell yourself that you are running your own race. Race to win too. Get rid of bad people. Okay, I'll say it again. You need to get rid of bad people. Oh, and before you get defensive, let's be honest for a second. You know the person I'm talking about. That one friend or family member or friend who makes you feel bad about yourself and drains your energy all the time, or just bringing constant bad things into your life, but you let them stay because why do you feel guilty? You've known them for a long time, but that's not a reason to. Never let them stop you from becoming the confident, successful person you were meant to be. I know because I used to be one of them. I thought I could make everyone happy, fix people, and help them see the light. But guess what? Worked. I'd feel worn out after every chat with some people, like they took all the life out of me because they were always complaining about something and never got excited when I did well. Always make me feel bad about their problems. I had to at some point. Get over it and understand that these people are bad for you. No amount of positive vibes can change that. Going to change that, and this is where things get uncomfortable. Some of those bad, you'll be with close friends and family. It could be a childhood friend who has been in your life for years, but keeps pulling you into their story. It could even be a family member. Yes, I did say that family can be bad too, and I know that's what we're taught to believe. That family doesn't have to do anything because blood is stronger than water. But let me explain. I'm telling you, Your reason is stronger than any guilt trip your dangerous family member is trying to pull. I had a friend named Mike. We had been friends for years, and it was great at first, but I noticed that every time I hung when I went out with Mike, he would talk down to me and be rude. He would say mean things about my goals and brush them off if I ever reached them. Like it wasn't a big deal. I began to doubt myself, thinking that maybe I might be exaggerating or need to work harder to help him. But one day I saw that Mike wasn't the issue. I wasn't doing anything wrong by getting, and he couldn't handle it. I had to cut ties, which was very hard. It was like lifting a 50-pound weight. I feel lighter now. I'm not saying you have to text them to break up with them and say, "Hey, you're toxic, bye." But I understand if that's how you like to do things. But you need to set limits and guidelines. Your time with people who aren't making your life better, and if they keep crossing those lines, it's time to go all Marie Kondo and clean up your relationships if they are a mess. Don't make people happy. They need to leave. Here's the thing, your surroundings. People you hang out with, especially if you're always alone, have a bigger impact on you than you think. When you're around poisonous or negative people, you can bet that it will seep out. You can't build confidence when you think that way, whether you like it or not. When you're around people who are always putting you down or making you doubt your own worth, your confidence grows. Healthy, helpful places to work instead of poisonous ones, and getting rid of toxic people. Get them out of your life. It's tough, and they might make you feel like the bad guy. But here's the truth. Not other people's problems are your job. Your job is to keep the peace, and when you do that you'll start to notice how much better, happy, and more sure of yourself you feel. And once I started separating myself from those bad forces, I had more energy to work on my happiness, my growth, and my goal. I felt like I could finally breathe again. Not everyone agrees, but cutting yourself is sometimes the best thing you can do for your confidence. Cut those bad ties off. Life is too short to carry dead weight, my friend. Friends, spend time with people who make you feel good, not people who bring you down. I know you'll be glad you did it, and remember that this isn't about being mean, or it's not mean. It's about respecting yourself and understanding that your time, energy, and protecting your health and happiness is important. The more you put yourself first, the more, when you're sure of yourself, you build a life where you can call home. The shots aren't harmful, so if you have a Mike or that one, if you have a friend who is always putting you down, you know what to do. We all deserve better. 3, speak up. All right, this one's, some of you will be squirming in your seats, but let's get it out there. You need to speak up. To begin with, I don't want to start a fight, or I'm just not good at that. I'm going to stop you right now. Silence is not a virtue. You unseen person, you think being quiet is keeping the peace, but it's not. It seems like you're trying to fit in with other people by being small, which isn't confidence, is it? Okay, I get it. I used to be the king of silence and just sit in meetings, as if I were a doll, even though I had questions or gasp, even differences half the time. But I didn't want to be that guy who stands up and makes everyone else do it. I believed that being quiet made me calm, but it was really just me, fearing people. Now it gets real. People won't just know what you think or feel through magic, unless you say them out loud, which is pretty shocking, right? Also, let's get rid of the silly idea that you should keep quiet so as not to upset the boat. Guess what? The boat needs to be upset. Being confident isn't always about making things easy and smooth. Sometimes it's about being real, means being yourself completely, even when your voice doesn't sound good. Might make some people angry, and here's the controversial part. If you don't speak up, you are part of the reason you can't be seen. If you're afraid of what other people might think, keeping quiet is the best way to make sure your thoughts don't get heard. Needs, and even you, don't matter. It's like going to a party but standing in the corner and hoping that someone will magically include you in the talk. Spoiler alert, they won't. You have to say something if you want to be heard. I remember the first time I had to really push myself to speak up, and trust me, it was scary. At work, there was a big meeting where everyone agreed on a project plan that I knew deep down wasn't going to work. But I was sitting there thinking, what should I say? Somebody asked me, am I going to look like a jerk if I speak up? My gut was yelling, say something, don't just nod along. I finally said it. I don't think this is the best way to go about things. The room went quiet, and that's when I wanted to hide under the table and never come out again. But here's the catch. After that awkward pause, the talk stopped. Changed. People began to ask me questions about the points I made, and you guessed it. We ended up revising. Everything worked out better because of my idea. Who knew that moment was as a wake-up call? I understood that every time I kept quiet, I was hurt not only myself, but also the people around me, because sometimes your having a voice is important, and that's why standing up isn't just about what you bring to the table when you speak up. Giving other people the chance to think differently, to question the status quo, and to see things from a new angle. Your opinion is important, even if you don't believe it. But if you keep it to yourself, no people can learn from your insights, thoughts, or experiences. And it's a shame, because the world needs more real views, not fewer. I know what some of you are thinking, but what if I'm wrong? That's okay. Be wrong. No matter how hard you try, you won't get it right every time. That's when real faith comes in. It's okay to be wrong. The important thing is that you're in the game and making a contribution, which builds to feel sure of yourself that staying quiet will never give you. And here's a secret. Most of the time, people respect those who speak out, even when they're wrong, than the ones who just sit there and hope no one sees them, because at least the fact that they are brave enough to speak out shows that they value their opinions enough to do so. Those are signs of confidence in action, but outside of meetings, the awkward times, and it's not about being afraid of being judged when you speak up. It's about self-respect means telling yourself that your ideas and words are just as important as everyone else's. Your thoughts and feelings should be heard, because if you don't speak up if you have faith in yourself, you don't need someone else to give it to you. If you want to talk, you have to take the floor and say, I belong here. You should remember this the next time you want to speak up in a meeting, at dinner, or anywhere else. Don't rush in. Instead, say your piece and own it. I don't care if you're right, wrong, or somewhere in between. At least you were brave enough to speak out. Being brave is what gives you real confidence. Plus, half of people will think, wow, I had the same thought but didn't want to say it. You're helping everyone out. Do yourself a favor and speak up. Shake things up a bit. It's time to stop being the main character in your own story instead of a background figure. You've earned the right to fail a lot, so buckle up. I'm about to tell you the truth that no one wants to hear. You need to fail not once, not twice, but 3 times. There have been a lot of great, what the hell am I doing? Fails. And now for the really important part. Failure is not only possible, it's necessary. You won't feel sure of yourself until you fail, so get ready to mess up. You can really build your confidence that way. I know that failure isn't the answer. No one wakes up and thinks, today seems like a great day to screw everything up. Everything. But here's the thing. If you're afraid of failing, you won't work hard enough to reach your goals. If it's important to you, you'll play it safe and stick to what you know. You won't grow in your safe zone, and avoiding things won't help you build confidence. Failure is made by facing it head-on, taking a hit, and getting back up. You're telling yourself, I can handle this, every time you do it. That's why I wouldn't try new things unless I was sure I would fail. I was almost certain I would succeed, but it was a terrible way to live. As I watched other people take chances, I felt trapped in my own little world and wondered why I wasn't getting out there myself, anywhere. And then, all of a sudden, I blew a job at work. I was so sure I'd crush, I mean really crush, but instead I crashed and burned. I felt ashamed, angry, and like hiding under a rock because of what happened. But though I didn't die or the world end, something strange did happen. Lightning, I made it through. In fact, after the first sting war, I learned that after I got over my fear of failing, it felt kind of freeing to fail. I stopped thinking so much about being perfect when I learned I had a lot more freedom. I began to take more chances. And guess what? I still failed a lot, but each time I learned something new and got smarter. The secret no one tells you about loss is that it makes you stronger. If you want to boost your confidence, you shouldn't lift light weights. Instead, you should push yourself harder. I know this will upset some people, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you push yourself too far and feel the burn, if your life isn't going well, it's because you aren't trying hard enough. Filled with calm seas and gentle breezes, you're playing too small. If you say, "I've never failed at anything," that means you don't want to grow. Failure isn't a badge of honor, not just about learning from your mistakes, but also about showing yourself that you can get through them. That's where the real being confident doesn't come from not failing. It comes from knowing who you are, can handle it, and be better afterward. Let's talk about some of the most famous people in history. Steve Jobs. His company, Apple, fired him. Oprah was fired from her first TV show, job that J.K. Rowling turned down from 12 publishers before Harry Potter became a worldwide hit phenomenon. These people weren't just incredibly sure of themselves. They built their confidence by failing badly and then getting back up. Going back to the beginning, if they had given up after their first loss, we wouldn't have. One of my favorite things is the Wizarding World or the Oprah Winfrey Show. Failures, and trust me, I've had a lot of them. When I tried to start my first business, I put my whole heart and soul into it. I put my savings into it because I thought I was going to rule the world. But guess what? It was hard at first because I had to move back in with my parents. I was so upset that I thought I was a total loser. But after a while, I understood that failure. More than any other SU success, it taught me how to keep going. More than anything else, I learned that I could get back on my feet after a setback. Failure made me more sure of myself, not less. It's like when you've fallen flat on your face, stop being scared. It happened, and you. The main point is that failure doesn't define you. You survive it. Refines you by getting rid of your ego, your need to be perfect, your fear of being judged, and every loss is a stepping stone, not a dead end. The more you fail, the better you get, and the more you learn. Failure makes you stronger, and strength is what makes you truly unshakable. Self-confidence. 5. Hang out with positive people. Okay, now let's talk about one of the most obvious but strangely heated issues. Truths. I know you need to be around people who make you feel good. This is where most people get stuck, so bear with me. It sounds like something from a cheesy, encouraging sign. It's wrong. You can't gain confidence when there are people around who want you to fail or stay. You little jerk. You need a team that backs you up, pushes you, and most of all, the most important thing is that they believe in you. But here's the catch. Sometimes the people you thought they were your biggest fans, but they're not, and that's where it starts. This is where things get tricky. I may upset some people, but let's be honest. If the people you care about most aren't cheering for your growth or calling you out on your BS, they're not helping you, they're holding you back. And here's the catch. It's not always. Sometimes it's the little things, like that one backhanded praise or that, if your friend doesn't say anything when you talk about your goals, that's a red flag. Friends, if someone in your life can't handle your growth, you should think twice about being with them. Let me tell you a personal story about a friend I had. Her name was Sarah, and we were close for years, having fun and talking all the time, but over time I began to notice something every time I reached a goal or shared a win. Sarah would either play it down or not care if I told her. When there was a new chance, she would say something like, "That's cool, but are you sure you're ready for it?" It was a subtle question, even though she couldn't stand the negative vibes that were always there. At first, I tried to ignore the fact that she was seeing me level up, thinking, "Oh, she's just being there for me." But the more it happened, the more I understood she didn't care about me. She was holding me back. This is where things get bad. Even if you've been together for years, you might need to end some relationships if they're not healthy, not helping you grow. And yes, that includes close friends. And I know we're all told that loyalty is everything but blind. But even family, being dedicated to people who don't help you is just self-destruction. Whether it says that you don't have to give anyone your time or energy if they're always making you feel bad about yourself. Having doubts about your dreams. I remember when I first started. It felt weird and awkward to set limits and spend less time with people who weren't helping me grow. I was afraid I was being selfish or too hard, but the farther away I went, the less I cared. From the bad things, my way became clearer, and you know what? It freed me up. For the people who really wanted me to win, the ones who made room for them, I got support when I was down and push when I wasn't trying hard enough. Let me tell you, finding your getting a boost crew is like going from a broken old bike to a racing car. Everything feels faster, better, and more fun all of a sudden. You need people who make you believe that anything is possible, not those who want you to stay where you are so you can feel better about your lack of progress by telling yourself that you are the average of the 5 people you spend time with. Most of the time with, well, let's do the math. Are they in your circle? Are they motivating you or draining you? Are they moving you forward or backward? If the answer is yes, then you need to make some choices, which could mean that you need to Marie Kondo. Your friends and family, if they don't make you happy, they need to leave. And let me tell you, having the right people in your life makes you feel like life is on a whole new level. But it goes more than just good vibes and cheering. Surround yourself with positive. It's not enough to have a hype squad. You need to build a network of trust, responsibility, and growth. People who care about you will tell you when you're not living up to your goals and remind you of them. They'll give you tough love when you need it and tell you of your why when you're questioning yourself. When things get tough, remember that faith isn't something you build. Isolation is formed by the people around you. If you're always around negative people, self-doubt, or you will start to feel the negative vibes of people who are jealous of your success, whether you are aware of it or not. That's why it's so important to find people who make you feel good. The best form of yourself, your tribe, and the place where you live all have a big effect on you, on your attitude and your trust in yourself. I learned this the hard way. It was hard to cut ties with people who weren't making me feel good at first. I felt like I had to say goodbye to old friends. But then I met new people who were truly happy to see me win, people who pushed me to do better, who praised I started to feel more confident when I thought about my successes and what kept me going when I failed. Soaring, I stopped having so much doubts about myself because I had strong friends and family who told me I was worth it when. And let's be honest, having friends who make you feel good is a must. You're not stuck in gossip or bad vibes, which makes everything more fun. Making each other laugh, coming up with new ideas, and going through life is like being in a constant state of flow. Believe that we can do this, and trust me, that energy spreads when you're with people who believe in you. You start to believe in yourself more. But here's the truth. If you want to really feel confident, don't waste time. Spend less time with people who secretly want you to fail, and more time with people who want to see you succeed. People who root for your success are there for you when things get tough and make you believe that anything is possible. When you're with the right people, you start to see that there's nothing bad in the world. Your confidence stops being something you need to protect all the time. It turns into a strong trust in yourself that no one can take away. So do yourself a favor and find your group. Trust me, life is too short not to. Being around people who don't hype you up is good for you. If you need help, I'm here to hype you up right now. Have a great day, and make sure everyone else is clapping as loudly as I am for. Okay, everyone. We've talked about a lot today. If you're still with me, first, you're a hero. Second, let's go over it again. Trust isn't some magical thing, impossible quality that only a lucky few people have. It's built through deliberate making choices that aren't always easy and changing how you live your daily life, like cutting off bad people, getting in the way of your progress, standing up, even when it feels like you're being judged. If your voice is shaky, or you're with people who make you feel like you can take on the world, this is how you really gain confidence. Now let's get real. Of these steps will hurt and make you think about things like why you stayed with bad people, friends for so long, or why you've been being shy to avoid failing. But if you're coasting, trust me, that pain is where growth happens. If you go through life on autopilot and never push your limits or change your pattern, your confidence is going to. It will always be that far-off, unreachable thing that you have to earn through hard work. I'm not here to sugarcoat things. It's not enough to just act like everything is fine or read inspiring words. You need to really believe that you can do it. If you want to be motivated on Monday, don't look at Instagram. Instead, do the real thing. Work, accepting loss, telling the truth, and surrounding yourself with positive people. Taking action, even when you're scared, and speaking up for other people. If you fall down along the way, that's great. Now you have a funny story to tell at your next party, because really, who wants to hear about easy wins? It's not always easy to gain confidence, but the road is always worth it. Time you fail every time you try to set limits with a bad friend. In a win, you speak up when your heart is racing. That shows the world that you're not afraid to take up room. Don't be afraid to be yourself. And that, my friends, is what confidence looks like. Is it? I hope you're excited to go out there and start taking risks. But one more thing before you leave. If you want to break up with that bad friend or finally do that scary job you've been putting off, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and hit that follow button if it spoke to you. Turn on alerts to make sure you don't miss more of this straightforward real talk. Information that will help you become the best person you can be. And hey there, I want to hear from you. What's stopping you from being truly confident? Maybe it's fear of failure, or maybe it's time to clean up your social life. Leave a comment below and we'll talk. Or even better, tell me about one of your biggest mistakes. I'm sure I have one. I have a lot of my own, and we're all on this messy, beautiful trip together. Keep in mind that confidence doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from making progress. When you make mistakes, learn from them and surround yourself with people who make you feel better. Have everything you need to be the most sure of yourself, unstoppable version of you. Only need to take those steps one at a time, okay? Be brave, make big mistakes, and cut ties with people who are bad for you. Remember to tell me all about it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.